Last week we talked about what exactly inflammation is and some of the causes. Now we're going to talk about what you can actually do about it. Stay tuned. Hi everyone, Floyd Meyer here with Catalyst Impacts, and today we're going to be talking about inflammation, specifically what it is that you can actually do to lower your overall levels of inflammation. Now, chronic inflammation has been linked to a multitude of different diseases, from heart disease to cancer, diabetes, autoimmune disease. The list goes on and on. But there are some things that you can specifically do to lower your overall levels of inflammation. So let's jump into those right now. Step one to lowering your overall levels of inflammation is going to be to remove the offending agent. So what I mean by that is the chronic inflammation can be caused by having a chronic bacterial infection, a viral infection, some type of a fungus. Some people have chronic candida infections. And so if your body is constantly being stimulated, this immune response is being stimulated, you are going to have chronic inflammation. So if you can remove that, this would obviously require talking with a physician and getting on a specific treatment. But if you can remove that, it is going to lower your overall inflammation. Now, what that also is referring to is reducing any type of irritant that is causing inflammation in your body. So this could be things like cigarette smoke, it could be environmental pollutions if you're working like in a factory or something like that, or it could be the foods that you're eating. They can cause inflammatory reactions in your body. And this really brings me to something that's really important. And that is how your gut or your GI system plays into inflammation. So a majority of your immune system is actually located in your gut. It's not floating around in your bloodstream, it's not in your brain. Most of your immune cells are in your gut. And when you think about it, this actually makes sense because when you eat food, you are bringing the outside environment into your own body. And so our immune system's built up in that area specifically to deal with that. And when you are constantly exposing your gut lining to harmful foods and compounds, so this could be things like trans fats that are going to be causing inflammation, refined carbohydrates, which are going to lead to high levels of inflammation, or if you have any specific food sensitivities, so things like gluten or other food sensitivities that you specifically have, this is going to cause an immune reaction in your gut. So your immune cells are going to get activated. They are going to secrete what's called pro-inflammatory cytokines, which are basically just chemicals that activate your immune system. And so your immune system is going to get activated in your gut. And what these immune cells do when they're activated is they secrete chemicals that try and kill the bacteria that are around them. And in our gut, as most people probably know by now, we have tons and tons of bacteria in our gut. Some of them are healthy, some of them are unhealthy, but our immune cells don't really know the difference. So they are secreting these chemicals to kill the bacteria. And when a bacteria gets killed, when it gets cut, it releases a compound known as endotoxin. And endotoxin is a very extremely potent activator of the immune response. So think of this like a cascade of effects that's happening. You get some type of an irritant, either it's a food that you ate or something like that in your gut. This activates the immune system, then it responds by lysing these bacteria or cutting these bacteria. They then release endotoxin, which then activates the immune system further. And this is going to activate your immune system not just in your gut, but actually systemically. And endotoxin is one of the reasons why when you get a bacterial infection and your body starts to fight it off, you get that fever, those aches and chills, the nausea, vomiting, things like that. A lot of that is caused by endotoxin. So it's really that crummy feeling that you get, that is going to be activated. Even though you're killing healthy bacteria in your own gut, you're still going to get that same reaction. And it's not going to be as potent as if you had a systemic inflammatory response from a bacterial infection, but it's going to be just this low level of inflammation that's going to be in the background and leading to this chronic inflammation that we know is so bad. So again, that's going to bring us to step 2. And step 2 to decreasing your overall levels of inflammation is going to be adding in anti-inflammatory compounds. So I have talked at length previously about how colorful foods like blueberries and strawberries and any type of greens, all of these colorful foods have antioxidants and specific vitamins and minerals in them that are going to lower our overall levels of inflammation. So making sure that you are eating colorful foods every day, not just, sticking to white foods, but trying to really add color variety to your palate is going to help decrease your overall levels of inflammation. Also, colorful compounds and herbs like turmeric and ginger are going to be very strong compounds, and they are going to be anti-inflammatory. So again, they are going to, if you do have inflammation in your body, they can react with those inflammatory molecules and decrease and kind of get rid of them. So this is going to decrease your overall levels of inflammation. So this can be a very, very powerful thing that you can do. And step 3 is going to be making sure that you get physical exercise. Exercise is so important when it comes to lowering your overall levels of inflammation. Now, exercise is actually going to cause inflammation in the short term. When you're exercising, you are causing damage to your body, but it's an acute type of damage. So as long as you're not out there running marathons or doing extreme endurance athletics, but just a regular amount of exercise, 30 minutes to an hour and a half, your body, it's going to be an acute reaction. And your body is going to be it's going to respond to that by it's called a hormetic response. So you're going to get this stress and your body is going to recognize that it has a stress, and it's going to upregulate the pathways that are able to deal with that stress. And that effect is going to last even after a long time after, sometimes for days after you exercise. So if you exercise for 30 minutes, especially if you do something like HIIT workouts like I've talked about a lot before, you're going to stress the system, and then your body is going to respond to that stress by upregulating these stress response pathways that make you better able to deal with it, and that effect is going to last for days. So even when you're done exercising, you're going to get a net positive as far as your overall levels of inflammation. So you're going to reduce your levels of inflammation. So that's why this can be a really powerful thing. Another thing that exercise does is psychologically, it helps you deal with stress. So when you exercise, especially when you do vigorous exercise, you are tricking your brain into thinking that you got away from whatever it is that's stressing you out. Because back in the day, we didn't have all these modern day stressors like our boss getting mad at us or traffic or things like that. The things that stressed us out were if a tiger popped out of the bushes, and we would get this immediate stress response, and then we would run away as fast as we possibly could. And so you're kind of mimicking that running away of the stress when you exercise. And so it can help you deal with these modern day stressors that we all have so much, deadlines, all of those things. It can help you deal with that. And again, that's going to lower your overall levels of inflammation. Now, step 4, and this one's really important, and people don't really talk about this one, is that you really should be on a schedule. So our bodies we're programmed around a 24-hour clock, and that's called your circadian rhythm. And this is going to be your internal body clock. And every single metabolic pathway that we have is in some way regulated by this 24-hour rhythm. So certain pathways are active during the day, and we're supposed to be awake, alert, and eating food. And certain pathways are supposed to be on at night, where we're supposed to be asleep and in a fasted state. And so getting yourself on a regular schedule can lower your overall levels of inflammation by optimizing your metabolism, making sure your metabolism is working appropriately, and all of these other biochemical pathways that are in your body are going to also be working as well as they possibly can. So there's 2 things that you need to do to get your body onto an actual schedule. One of them is to have consistent sleep and wake times. And it doesn't mean that you need to go to bed at 9:15 every single day. What it means is you need to have a period of time that you are generally going to sleep. So it can be, from 9:30 to 10:30, it can be from, 10:30 to 11:30. You don't really want to be pushing it a whole lot later than that, because if you think about it, the only reason we're able to stay up that late is because we have electricity, and that's actually a very new invention. If you didn't have your phone and you didn't have any light, you would just go to sleep because there would be nothing else to do. And so you really want to try and move your sleep times somewhere between 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock would be optimal. And you want to make sure that you're getting between 7 to 9 hours of sleep, and you want to try and keep that as consistent as you can. Now, the other aspect of getting your body onto a regular schedule is to have consistent eating times. And you can do that through a process called time-restricted eating, and I've talked about it at length in previous videos, so make sure you check those out if this is something that you would be interested in. But basically, all you have to do is keep an eating window of no more than 12 hours. So if you wake up at 7 a.m. and you get a glass of coffee at 7:30, then you would want to get all of your calories in by 7:30 at night. So it really is that simple. And if you can do both of those things, if you can have a consistent sleep and wake time and have a consistent eating time, you are going to give your body the best possible chance to work at its maximum capacity, and that can lower your overall levels of inflammation through a variety of different mechanisms. So I know this sounds like a lot of stuff, making sure you're removing all of the bad things, adding in anti-inflammatory foods, getting enough exercise, getting on a schedule, but this is really just scratching the surface of what it really takes to lower your overall levels of inflammation. And it makes sense that it's difficult because so many people are walking around chronically inflamed, and that's one of the main reasons why we have an epidemic of these chronic diseases, is because people are walking around with this chronic low level of inflammation all day, every day for decades. So it is a lot, but again, it's only scratching the surface. And to get the best effects, it really should be these strategies and many of the other things that you can do to lower your inflammation really should be tailored specifically for you. So if that's something you would be interested in, I want to make sure that you guys go to catalystimpacts.com/coaching, and you can check it out and see if working one-on-one with me would be right for you. Now, next week, I'm going to be talking about just one part of this whole puzzle, and that is going to be my top 5 anti-inflammatory foods. So make sure that you guys have subscribed to my channel. Click that button down below so that you don't miss any more of this content. So again, this is Floyd Meyer with Catalyst Impacts, signing off.